Right, so now I'm going to go through challenge 6C, the array challenges. There's three different ones. These ones are linked, but this one's one of its own. Copy the array below into Python, then get the user to enter a name and see if it is in the array. It should print out the name and where it was found. Right, okay, so I'm going to copy this into Python as directed. Well, I think I've just closed down Python because that's what I do. Close down the thing I'm about to use. Anyway, there we go. Copy that in. Then I've got to get them to enter a name. So let's get their name. I'll put a user. I'll put search equals input, enter a name, and then I'm going to check if it's in the array. Now I know that there is a command called in, right? So I could go if search in names, and in Python that will work. I can print found, but it doesn't tell me where it is found. Okay, so, and there is no way of me finding that out with this in commands, or at least they'll tell you anyway to use a search control loop, account control loop. So we need to do the standard for loop. For I in range, the length of names, and then we're going to do n equals names I. So you should be getting used to that command now. And then in case you're confused what that does, it's going to look at n is going to be each person one after the other. So then we're going to say if n is equal to what we typed in, then we're going to print found n, or we're going to put search, doesn't matter, but we know they're the same. And then I'm going to put where I found it. I was just going to put like at position, and then I'm going to put the position, which is I. Remember, I is the position, because that's going to be 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. There we go. Let's type Bob, because it's easiest. There you go. Found Bob, position 6. So that is how you do the first one. We loop through, check if it matches, and if it does, we print it out, and the position is always the loop. Okay, that's the reason why you can't do the in, but also just because they'll probably say something like using account control loop. Right. So let's go on to the next one, which I've closed again. It's baffling how I can manage to do it every time. Right, make the text. Oh, no one. I haven't updated it. Hold on, let me just click a few buttons. Bear with me. It's published the site because I made some changes. Because basically, as I make the challenge, I'm updating it on here. I'm just going to check actually. Did I? There we go, 6C, but I think I left it. Yeah, I did change that. Right, so here we are. Copy the array below into Python, then calculate the min, the max, and the average. Right, so on a new one, copy that in. Calculate min, max, and average. Right, so we need min. Now, with the min, max, and average, you always set it to the first one, not the average. Obviously, set that blank. Because you start at the first one, and we set the average to 0. So for I in range numbers, no, length of numbers, then we're going to get the number. So I'm going to go n equals numbers I. So this is obviously, as I said before, I'll do it again. N is going to be, I need brackets there, I knew I did as well. Number not found because it's numbers. Boom. Right, there we go. So 147. So n is the numbers. Right. So all we've got to do is go if n is less than the min. Now technically we could actually start this at 1, and we can't start at 1 because we need the average. If we weren't getting the average, we could ignore the first one and just start there because we already set it to that. But as we I suppose we could set the average to that and then add them all up. But no, that's probably not a good idea. In fact, I'm going to call this total because technically I'm going to calculate the average from the total. I suppose I could. It doesn't really matter what I call it, but there we go. If the number is less than the current minimum, then minimum gets set to n. And then if n is greater than the current maximum, then max gets set to n. That's not rocket science. And then we're just going to add total up. And then at the end, we can calculate total by the length of numbers because we know how many numbers are in there. So we're going to print min. Probably shouldn't put I'll put min. Min. Max. And then we need average. And we should know that average is going to be the total divided by the length of numbers, because that's how many numbers are in the list. There's no need to count them again because we know. And there you go. And obviously you should know by now, if I want to round that, I'll do round comma 2 or something there. And I've got the average at a much nicer one there. So that is that one there. It's a nice little, quite easy middle one. But let's see how much the harder one is as he goes to get it open again. Go to the end. Right, okay, let's maximize this one. So start off with a blank array and then get the user to enter numbers until they enter nothing. Note you'll have to use input without casting to an int, as you need to check if they entered a blank string. You can always cast a number later, see below. Right, so, and that's how you add to an array. So basically, it's like this, but we're going to, so this needs a while and a for loop. Okay, to work out the, I'm going to leave that in because the bottom bit's the same. We're just going to, we're just going to add stuff to numbers ourselves. So it's still the same after this. So here we need to get them to add things to numbers until they enter a blank. Right. So I'm going to put a variable that whatever they enter. So entered number, and I'm going to set it to anything that's blank. It's going to be a string, anything but blank. And by blank I mean empty, not a thing. I can put it to a dash. There we go. So I'm going to go while entered number not equal blank. We're going to get them to enter number. Entered number. Now you're thinking, why don't we use in? Well, the problem is we can't check for a blank string like that if it's not a string, basically. So we're gonna leave it. We can always cast it to an integer later. So now I can do it, for example. So I'm going to append numbers.append, but instead of appending entered number, because what that'll append is a string version of it. Now I convert it to an integer before I add it to the numbers thing here. And that's actually all you would need to do for this more tricky one. It looks difficult, a lot of them. But I don't think that's how you do not equal to on Python. I always get confused. It's that one. There we go. So 5, 6, 7, no, blank. Right, let's have a look. What did it say? Invalid literal for n with blank. Unless it's blank, of course. So if entered number not equal to blank, so you can't enter the blank one. Otherwise, it's going to try and enter the blank version of the integer. There you go. There's the average. There are other ways of doing this. My actual way would have been to have done while true. I always use while true, but it's considered bad program practice. And then instead of checking if it's not blank, I check if it's blank, and if it is, I break. And break exits a loop. So like it'll quit this loop. So this will loop forever. So you don't actually need that there to set anything because we're not checking it here. So that's why I also like it. And also break quits immediately, stopping this problem of that. So what happens here is, if you don't understand this, while true loops forever, because this loops while this is true. Well, this is true. So we get them to enter a number, not casting it. Check if it's a space. Sorry, if it's blank, not space. Check if it's blank. If it is, we break the while loop, and we'll do that instantly before this gets executed. So it won't try and add the blank digit to the number. And if this doesn't happen, then it just adds a number. I think that's a far more elegant solution, but it's considered bad programming practice. I like it. Oh, there you go. I did it by accident, but there you go. 4 and 6, average is 5. And so it wrote 50. He wrote 54 there because I was typing more. There you go. Average 101, min max. So there you go. So that's the harder one of that one. And there you go.